everyone has values and everyone fails to completely live up to that belief system. That place where your values and your behaviors clash, that can be a classroom for some of the most transformative lessons of your life. Think about that in your own life. I don't know if something comes to mind immediately for yourself or if right away you think about some other guy that has a problem with matching up his values and behaviors. But I'll admit it, for me, I think right away about my son, my teenage son, wonderful kid. And he says that he loves his dog. And he really says it. Every time we threaten to sell the dog, he says, no, I love the dog. But the problem is his values, his stated values. He says that he loves his dog. And his behaviors, what he actually does for his dog, those two things don't match up. You know, my dog's love language is playing fetch. I don't know if that really exists, but for my dog, that's what it is. But my son rarely will go play fetch with the dog. And I tell him all the time, I say, son, you say that you love the dog, but I don't see you matching that up with your actions. Go run with your dog. Go throw with your dog. Go play with your dog. Your dog's high energy. You're high energy. Match those things up. And he has such a hard time doing it. I don't know if you can relate to that in your own life, but I encourage you to think about these few really practical steps to deal with that place where your values and your behaviors clash. First, take an honest inventory of your values. Maybe even just write them down. What are your values? What are the top 5 or 10 things that you believe in? Where did those values come from? You know, do you really believe in them? Maybe it's something that your parents taught you when you were young and you would still write them down, but you look at it and you say, I don't know if that really is a value. Be honest, take an inventory. What do you really, truly value? Come up with a list, write it down. Step number 2, take an honest inventory of your behaviors. Maybe on that same sheet where you wrote down your values, write down your behaviors so that you can see them side by side. And once you've written down some of those normative habits in your life, and be honest about it, but once you've written some of those down, good and bad, take a look at which ones clash, which ones match up, which ones don't match up with your values. You know, pay particular attention to some of those secretive ones. If you're doing this with a friend or a group, maybe you're not going to write down all those values, but at least in your own mind, pretend like you wrote down that one thing that you're pretty secretive about. Do those clash with your values? Think about some of the friends that you do those things with, those behaviors with, especially the ones that maybe don't match up with your values. Do your friends know your value system? Do they know that what you're doing with them doesn't match up with what you really believe, or at least with what you say that you believe? Here's the last step. Give something up for your integrity. You know, integrity, the word integrity comes from the word for integer. An integer is like 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And a person who has integrity is just a whole person. It's not a divided person. It's not a fraction of a person. An integer is a whole number. And so someone with integrity is a whole person. What that means is their values, their stated values, match up with their behavior. And so in this third step, here's what I challenge you with. Give up something for the sake of your integrity. Either, hopefully, give up those behaviors, admit that those behaviors don't match up with your values, and give up those behaviors so that your behaviors begin to match your values. Now you can be a person of integrity. But at the very least, give up those values. Now, I don't really recommend that, but at least be honest with yourself. Don't be double-minded. Don't be that person who says, yeah, I have these values, but I have these behaviors that don't match up. They clash. Are you bold enough? Do you have enough courage to say, yeah, I'm going to throw out that value that my parents taught me, that my friends taught me, that value that I know deep down is true and right, but I'm going to give it up. You know, I would challenge you to think about that, because probably you would hesitate to do that on paper, and I hope you'd hesitate to do that on paper. So then give up that behavior that doesn't match up with that value. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video, and don't forget to use the questions below to talk about this with a friend or a mentor or a group, or if you're a young person, with your parents. And remember, all of these videos are designed to help you to not just learn something or hear something, but really to do something about it. And this particular video is a tough one, but I challenge you to step up and really match up your behavior with your values.